Welcome is anybody listening to me podcast with Azar and the Meat? Oh, Big Meat, you jinxed me. You
Little
kept on
tongue tied
saying,
there.
yeah. You know why? Because when we were together the other day, you said, "Oh, I always have the opening consistently every week. I say it the same time, same way." And this time, I actually jinxed myself. So, anyways, welcome to Is Anybody Listening to Me podcast with Azar and the Meat. uh, we missed a few days. We're a little bit late, but we decided it's summer vacation and we're going to enjoy the summer. So I apologize for those that were looking forward to a podcast last Friday for their drives up for whatever they were doing. But Big Meat was having a good time, having a few cocktails, and we said go for it. We couldn't let him miss a good time hanging out.
That's right. Yeah. So screw you all. That's all I gotta
Yes,
say.
yes. And our third man may join us today. He's at the mercy of daddy duties, so we hope he can join us. But you know what? What's he really going to add to the conversation, anyways? If you listen to 98.5 Talk Radio, you probably already heard his talking points. So what are you missing, really, sincerely? Here, all right.
Just follow Felger. I'm sure he's got a Twitter handle, and he's just as long as you listen to what Felger says, then you've heard everything that Jarvis wants to
Absolutely.
say. So you're
Yeah.
good.
And the other thing is, he said he was hanging out with Mr. Roper, so he's probably tainted with the Roper views, which
Mm,
probably all wrong anyway. So do we really want him contributing some of his input
not at
to
all.
that? So do we really want the Roper taint on the podcast?
The Roper taint. Oh, that just sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jarvis always says he's gonna try to join us, but he never does. So
Yeah.
don't count on it. Don't
Yeah.
count. It just looks like it's just gonna be us two. But yeah, just to go on with the kind of agenda for the show and some of the topics. He did send in his list for our fantasy football segment, so at least we have that. We have his contribution.
That's true. We got his contributions, and then we're gonna go finally break down Suicide Squad for those who dared to watch it. McMeat finally got a chance to catch up with it. So then we're gonna just talk about a couple of Disney Marvel releases that are coming out soon. Big Meat's had a chance to watch the number one movie, the number one streaming thing on Netflix right now. He got to watch that. Sweet Girl, I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm.
What's this? I think Jason
Momoa. Jason Momoa. Yeah.
Momoa, yeah. So you know him from Aquaman and other movies. So if you're wondering who that is, and then we'll do the fantasy top 12. All right, Big Meat. So let's get this out of the way because this is like talking about Wonder Woman 84. And honestly, I've actually had a debate what was worse, Wonder Woman 84 or this movie.
Come on.
So I did. Wonder Woman 84 always seems to win. What is the worst movie?
Definitely, by far. Like Wonder Woman, was by far if you're comparing the one or the other, there's no debate. It's still Wonder Woman. I think with Suicide Squad, or the Suicide Squad is what they call it. Yeah. As I was watching it, I think maybe the first half, I said, you know what, this isn't that bad. I said, I'm kind of it's kind of entertaining. I'm kind of enjoying it. And then it got kind of stupid, and then the end. And then I said, but when it was all said and done, I looked back and I said, yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great, but I don't think it was as bad as you said it was. I thought there was some good parts to it. It's definitely gory. It's right. I didn't even realize it was rated R until 5 minutes into it. I go, there's no way this is. I had my son watching it. I'm like, yeah, let's watch it. And all of a sudden, 5 minutes into it, I'm like, yeah, you probably should be watching this. It's like he's dropping F-bombs every other word. It's like this guy's head's being cut off. And it was pretty graphic. But I like that part. Some of the humor was pretty good. The story was kind of stupid. The special effects at the end, this is spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. But the stupid starfish, it was so cheesy. And so it looked so fake, and it wasn't like this big scary thing. I don't know. I thought
it was cartoonish.
That part,
it was
very cartoonish. It looked like something you'd see out of Pokemon or whatever. So that was a little bit disappointing, but I think overall, I didn't find it to be that bad. I certainly think the first Suicide Squad was better. Looking back, if I picked one or the other, either the first one or this one, and the first one, it got such bad reviews and so many people hated it. I actually like the first one. I think you said you also like the first one as well. Compared to this one, I still like the first one. better than the second one. But I didn't think the second one was that bad.
If you go into it accepting that it's like, I remember when I first started talking about it, it wasn't. If you take it away and eliminate your expectation that it was like a typical DC movie, it wasn't. It was more of a comical
Oh
anti
yeah.
superhero. If you go in with that attitude, it's just a silly movie. It's not terrible. I just don't get when they're making the review, when there were people reviewing it, trying to compare it to the first one. They're apples to oranges. They're not even in the same ballpark of what
Mm.
the movies were trying to accomplish. So to me, it was kind of stupid. Uh, so I don't get it. Like if you're looking for a something to kill a couple hours, just a movie, if you're stuck at home, yeah, it's definitely worth it. I don't think it's worth spending 40, $50 at the movie theater to go see. I don't think it was that
No,
good.
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't one of the better DC movies either. I mean, there were some other DC movies that were better than that, but it was, but a lot of different characters, a lot of death scenes,
Yeah.
a lot of death scenes,
That's
and
probably your selling. The death count was probably got you.
it was
I mean,
very high.
it was probably just as high as a typical Rambo movie. I mean, that we could
Yeah,
have probably just got a kill count. Let me see if I
yeah.
can find a kill count while we talk about it. But uh,
Well, the thing is too, it was I like that it was a little cheesy. It was. I mean, I think that's what they were going for. But then there were parts in the movie where they got kind of serious as well, and that's the part I didn't like. It's like if you're just gonna go cheesy and fun and just kind of goofball, all throughout the movie, then just do that. Be consistent. I don't like that they kept kind of like bringing in some serious parts to it, and now it's like the flow is kind of messed up a little bit. Yeah, and I agree with you, like too, what you said last week about the one character that was like she was like the main character basically in the movie, and I'm like, really? She was like you had all these great actors, and you got her like this girl with the rats. I just thought it could have been a lot better. I just think from the fun entertainment aspect of it, I thought it was okay.
yeah, like I said, it's entertainment. But again, the characters they picked out are just
Bizarre.
yeah. I just didn't
Yeah,
get it.
yeah,
And then like the Sylvester Stallone shark character
right.
was terrible. Um,
Yeah,
the polka dot
yeah.
guy, I just don't get. I just didn't get it. I was hoping for a little bit more from the movie, and it
They
was
went
okay.
they went for the silly they went with the silly angle of it. But those are characters from the comic book, so it's they got to go with what's in the comic books, and that shark, the Shark King, I think the King Shark.
Yeah,
He's a pretty big character in DC, and he actually was in a lot of the Flash episodes when
I,
the Flash is still on.
yeah,
But he was a character on that
and that
too.
character was actually better in the Flash TV show.
Yeah, he
Than
was
what
more like menacing and he was more of a villain, but this guy was kind of just like it was like a dumb shark.
yeah,
It was like Groot. It was like a shark version of Groot. That's kind of what he played. A little bit.
yeah. That's
Um,
actually it's probably a good way to look at it. That's probably what it was. That's um, I don't know. It's just whatever it is. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, I completely can understand it.
yeah.
Um, all right, so let's just move on. There's not much to say about it. Like it's just a silly mind candy movie. It's not deep. Just the starfish kills it. I think if they had a better
It
villain,
did. I think so too. Yeah, if they had a better villain, it would have been
yeah,
at the end, right? Like if it was like a legit like monster that came out or whatever. It
yeah.
was just silly. It was very cartoonish.
And for the
And
amount of
Marvel,
money they spent on it was kind of like, geez, that's. I think
yeah,
the special effects would have been a little bit better, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
just wasn't that great. So
yeah, yeah. And I liked like Margot Robbie was good in it, right? I mean, she was all right, but she wasn't. I don't know. She wasn't great, but I did like the fight scene that she was in towards the end of the movie when she was escaping. Like that was kind of a cool scene. Um, and I thought John Cena was like okay. He was a little bit. I thought he was actually a little bit more serious than I thought. I thought he was just going to be kind of like this dumb character, like
oh, he
and
was
like
dumb.
nobody, huh?
He was dumb. He was dumb.
But
Don't give him to it. Him and his
no, but
stupid helmet and his
I thought
overacting expressions that he makes that are
yeah, but
just
he was more of a serious actor, I thought. Like not a serious actor, a serious character. Like I thought he was trying to be too serious. Like I don't know. I don't know. I just there was something off about it. There was something off about his character. I didn't really know
Yeah,
how
it's
to.
it's his acting. It's a
Yeah,
terrible acting, and
yeah,
and Idris Elba was okay. It was,
yeah.
and I think when my wife was watching it, she was just like you. She was watching it even though she didn't like the movie, but she was just intrigued halfway through. She was like, "I want to see where this is going." Like it was just more out of
Right.
curiosity than it was actually because it was a good movie. It was
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
and I was sitting there too. I'm like, I really want to see where this goes. I got to see where this goes, and then I wish I didn't see where it went because. But you're right. I
You
guess
want your 2 hours back.
yeah. It's that Margot Robbie scene, that fight scene. That was probably one of the better scenes
Yeah.
that I thought in the movie. And I did like, um, not to be a spoiler, but when they were attacking a base, and then they found out they were attacking the wrong people on the base. That was
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right, right. That was kind of
so,
funny.
so the killing was good. Like, and that's what I thought. I was like, oh, this is not bad. All right. If it's gonna be like this,
That was the
and
part where I was like watching it. I said, "Oh, this isn't bad.
yeah,
I like where this is going."
yeah, and then it was funny. You're like, oh, okay, I can laugh at that because that
Yeah.
was generally funny. And then the rest of the movie, it just, yeah,
Yeah, it
Eh,
went downhill. The second half went downhill, and then you get the big action scene at the end, which was okay. It's decent action or whatever. But then the starfish came out, and then I was just like, "All right, no, this is
yeah,
just getting silly."
yeah.
So
It's big. It's like watching the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at the end of
yeah, yeah,
Ghostbusters.
yeah. Right, right.
Like that's what it was, and it's like, so is this like Ghostbusters kind of a movie? Like it's supposed to be a
Yeah,
comedy? Like was it? That's where I
yeah.
thought I was like, this was a comedy. This had to be because this felt like
Hmm.
Ghostbusters. That's what it felt like at the end.
It was. It's kind of a cross between Ghostbusters, the movie Alien,
Yeah,
when the
yeah,
starfish attaches to the guy's faces.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like similarities to
Remember
like
when I
other
mentioned
movies,
Spaceballs? Like it was like a mockery of a
like a
action movie.
spoof. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And I was like, "Ah, it's got like a spaceballish feel to it. There's action in it, but it's also stupid. Like,
yeah, yeah.
if Mel Brooks came out at one point in the movie, I would have understood what they were doing better. But
Right,
they,
right.
but that was what was missing. All right. So I don't think let's go moving into the movies that are coming out. So it's actually going to be an exciting few months now. That we'll put that aside. We were looking forward to the Suicide Squad, but
Hmm.
Marvel's releasing a bunch of stuff in the next few months, which is exciting for us. We've been talking about it that the Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings
Yeah,
is coming out soon.
yeah,
I haven't done any research on that, so I'm kind of curious how that ties into the Marvel universe. But I believe it's just more of like a high-end action karate movie.
yeah.
From what
It's
it looks like.
they always go with their genres of movies, right? Because Marvel doesn't do consistent like every movie's the same thing. This is just their karate movie that they wanted to come out with.
Yeah.
So I know they pronounce it, and I didn't know this because it just sounds like it's Shang. But every time somebody pronounces it when they're being interviewed or whatever, it's Shang-Chi. It's just kind
Oh,
of a weird,
Shang-Chi.
Shang,
Okay.
Shang. So Shang-Chi, it's just kind of a weird why I pronounce it that way. But anyway, that's where so that's how you pronounce the title of the movie. But it is about the Ten Rings tied back to like the first Iron Man. Remember like the Ten Rings organization? Remember with like the Mandarin? It's the Mandarin? And it was like that guy the from Iron Man 3, and he was
Yeah.
like an actor, and he was like kind of like the silly guy. So this is like the true Ten Rings organization that's like behind the scenes.
Okay.
So I wonder if they introduce like the real Mandarin in this one. You know what I mean? Because in the comics, the Mandarin's a big villain. In Iron Man 3, he was just kind of like this
Comical.
silly actor, like that was just like, oh, I'm just whatever.
Yeah.
But I think this one might actually reveal the true Mandarin villain. So it is kind of tied to it somehow. But again, like we said, when these Marvel movies come out, and you see the trailer and you see all this, they got like magic and they can fight, they got these superpowers, and it's like, where the hell were they like for the past all these Marvel movies when Ultron is taking over the planet? Where the hell were they?
Especially because Ultron was in Japan, like taking over, and they're
Right.
supposed to be there. Like no one thought, hey, do you want to help out? Nah, it's okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, where the
Not our
hell have you
battle.
been this whole time?
Yeah.
Like,
They
or
might
like,
explain it. They might explain it.
uh,
It's
perhaps.
because I mean it's just like the people from Wakanda, in the Black Panther, they don't go out and get involved with every skirmish. They kind of have to stay low on purpose, keep low. And so Maybe
Yeah.
there's some element to that that they are like a secret cult that has to stay hidden. But anyways, hey, that's exciting. That's coming out on September 3rd, and then a couple months after that, I saw the previews for the Eternals. Which, if you haven't seen it, YouTube the Eternals. That actually looks better to me than
Yeah.
the Shang-Chi movie. I'm actually excited about the Eternals. That looks like I hopefully we didn't see all the highlights, but in the sometimes that makes me nervous when the previews, if that's all the
Hmm.
action, like that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
usually Marvel's pretty good with it. So that the Eternals look pretty good
A lot
and
of characters in that one. A
tons of
lot of
characters.
characters. Yeah.
So that's what I'm curious is how, if they're going to be able to develop all the characters, or is this going to be a really long movie? Like, is this
Mm,
just a beginning of introducing them, but they can't get in too deep with the characters, or
right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because sometimes movies get kind of the writing gets a little shitty where they have to rush the story along and they don't really you don't ever really get to know make sense of the characters. But you know what it reminds me of? What is that stupid show that we tried to watch on Netflix? That superhero movie. Guys, like, because one guy shooting laser
Uh,
beams out of his eyes. What was that terrible show with um,
Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Legacy? It
Yeah.
reminded me almost of that. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, did Netflix try to take the premise of the Eternals, or was it vice versa? Like, because Jupiter's Legacy, I was like, some of the characters were almost exactly the same. I'm like,
Right. Right.
this is interesting.
Yeah, that or the boys or like so I
Yeah,
feel like there's so many shows that are like that now where like the team of superheroes. But no, this one I think it looks really good and yeah, like you said, I hope because there's so many characters, I hope there's some character development because then it's like you don't care about them when you're watching it. It's like I hope they don't rush into everything. Um, but yeah, in terms of the action, and it explains like what I said earlier in the trailer, it explains why they didn't get involved in like the battle with Thanos and you know what I mean, like the other movies. So that makes
yes.
sense because they reveal that right in the trailer, and it's like okay, at least we get that out of the way, so not everybody's not kind of thinking about it as leading up to the movie. So
But it's going to be interesting because I think for the Marvel universe, they're going to be introducing, to your point, there might be some new villains rolling in into the Marvel universe, like the Mandalorian, the Eternals villain might be a new like super villain that actually might just cross over to other movies. So that might be interesting to see what
yeah,
these guys do if they're, I think more likely with the Eternals movie, but who knows? It should be
yeah,
interesting.
there was actually in one of the trailers it showed Abomination. If you remember, he's the guy Hulk of the Incredible Hulk was fighting in the first Hulk movie way back. Remember the guy? He was like in the military and he took the serum or
Oh,
gamma
okay.
radio, whatever, and he
Yeah.
turned into like what they call Abomination. And ever since that movie, everyone's like, "Hey, that was canon. Like, where's he been? Like all these movies?" And he actually shows up in the trailer for this. So I think
That's,
they brought his character back.
oh, that
Yeah,
should be interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if there's going to be any crossover from other
Actually,
Marvel
no.
characters.
And by the way, that's for Shang-Chi. He's in Shang-Chi, not in the Eternals. That's where I saw him in the trailer. Yeah,
All right,
not to confuse
you're
the
messing
two.
with people. All right,
Yeah. But I caught myself though. I
all right,
corrected myself.
all right. So why don't we just for speeding things up? So and in more exciting too, in December, Spider-Man is also coming up too. So that's an
Yes.
exciting Marvel movie or Disney movie that's going to be coming out. And I hopefully the Book of Boba will be out by then in December. I'm
That's
hoping,
right.
and then I think,
Yep.
and we don't know about the Mandalorian. They haven't really said anything. And again with COVID, I have heard Hollywood has had to kind of make some adjustments in production with some things. So hopefully there's
Right.
not too much of a delay because of the Delta variant. But it looks like people are still trucking along. But I did hear some studios had to shut down for a little bit because of COVID
They
spread
did.
in some of the
Yep.
places. Uh, so there's a lot of exciting things for the next 3-4 months.
hmm
We're gonna have tons, and more importantly, we're gonna have tons of football to talk about.
I know.
And we haven't even talked about the other platforms that are dropping things. So this is just basically Disney's dropping a lot of content. So finally, we're just getting into this rhythm of some
Yes.
finally good content is starting to hit things. And I know Netflix just dropped a movie that I was interested in, and we mentioned it was the number one movie right now on Netflix is Sweet Girl. Now you got to see
Yeah.
it. So was it worth watching? Is it worth a couple hours?
Yes. It's excellent. It's a movie that I'd never even heard of it, and my wife put it on, and I said I don't know what's I don't know what's up with these like titles of these movies that start with sweet. First I mentioned Sweet Tooth a few weeks
Total
back, and
total turn off of a show. Worst name on a TV show.
it was terrible. It was a terrible name, but that was actually a pretty good show. And then this one comes out, and it's like, oh, what's the name of this movie? She's like, Sweet Girl. I'm like, what? It's like also on Netflix. So what next? Is Sweet Tooth, Sweet Girl? Was it Sweet Boy? What are we
Yeah.
doing here? So, and I know
Sweet cheeks.
Jarvis, just Sweet Cheeks. I know Jarvis would look at it and be like, I ain't watching that stupid movie because it's Sweet Girl. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What is that? That sounds
Yeah.
like a movie like a teenage girl would watch. But it's far from it couldn't be farther from the truth because it's it's an action movie. Jason Momoa's in it. Like you said earlier, Aquaman. He's the guy that plays Aquaman. He was the guy who was also in Game of Thrones in that first season. Great action in it. Great story. And with I'm not giving anything away because it's still new. It's right now it's currently number one on Netflix. But so go out there and definitely watch it. Highly, highly, highly recommended. Um, I do got to say there's just to kind of give everybody a heads up, and maybe this will even make you want to watch it even more. There's a scene towards the end of the movie where you're just going to be completely blown away. You're gonna like it's one of those scenes where you're just like it reminds me of another movie that I watched and where I was just like whoa, like I didn't see that coming. And without giving anything away, without even mentioning what that movie is, and we'll talk about it next week, maybe on next week's podcast when gives everybody a chance to watch it. It was just like it was just one of those moments when you watch a movie and you're like, holy shit, you know. And I'm telling you, it was so good. It was so good. Definitely one of the best movies I've seen this year.
Oh wow, that's a
Yeah.
big bar. All
Oh
right.
yeah.
The action looks pretty good. At least the highlights when you put the Netflix and you're scrolling and it stops at it. It looks pretty good. I've actually been stopping at it, and I was like, I gotta sit and watch it, but I just haven't found a couple hours to sit down
Yeah,
and
yeah.
watch anything.
Yeah, good action. Good. You know what the action reminded me of that movie Extraction that I really liked
I
with
was just
Chris
gonna ask.
Hemsworth.
Yeah, I was gonna
Very
ask you.
similar. Yeah,
Yeah.
that similar action to that.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Different setting though, because I think Chris Hemsworth, the Extraction, it was a military operation where this guy's more
Right.
in like a revenge, protecting his family type of thing.
Right.
So it's got
Right.
like that Liam Neeson. I thought when I was watching some of the highlights, I'm like, this is like Liam Neeson could play this movie because it seems
Yeah.
like it's one of his type of movies.
Yeah,
that he
like
always
in
plays.
Taken or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit. Good fight scenes in it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but just overall, it just kept you into the movie from start to finish. There was never any major lulls in
That's
the middle
awesome.
of the
I
movie.
love movies like that.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
fast pace. That's good. I'm looking forward to that then to watch that. And I forgot to mention this when we were talking because I was going to mention it last week and I did send a text on it, but I want to remind people again. So I've been binging with some of my downtime because they're just half-hour episodes. I am telling you, you have to watch if you're a fan of the 80s, you're a kid of the 80s, and you love Transformers, you have to watch the Netflix version of it. Uh, it's Transformers. It's a trilogy. So there's 3 seasons, but they rolled out in a couple of years. There's 3 seasons of 6 episodes each. They're half hour each, and they are legitimately like prequels to our childhood version of the
Mm.
Transformers. The fact that they brought back all the characters, same style, same look, they tried to make them sound exactly the same, bring them back into this. The only difference is if you remember growing up, when they went back to their home planet of Cybertron, they didn't transform into cars. They transformed into what was relevant to them on that planet. So they don't
Yeah.
transform into fighter jets per se, but but when they transform into the robot form, they look exactly like your childhood versions. And
Mm.
that's what I love because everything that's come after our childhood, they've never been the same. Even the new Transformer movies, they modify the characters and they never looked what we remember
Right.
as kids. Not even Bumblebee doesn't look like his kid or Optimus Prime, Megatron.
Mhm.
They all kind of were modified in a way to kind of be more special,
Mm.
to kind of modernize them. But it is, if you're a huge fan of the 80s, you will love this series. And the fact that it's sort of like a prequel story gets you
Mhm.
sucked into it. And I've already gone through 2 seasons. And I know there was a period when I was too old for it, but I think when they rebooted the show, in the 90s, they went into this Beast Wars mode, which I think they were transforming into animals. And they
Yeah.
actually found a way to introduce those characters in the third season. And they actually found a way to introduce the characters from Transformers the movie, the full length movie that came out with all these new characters and Megatron changed
Oh
into
wow.
Galvatron. He's in it, so and they look exactly the same. So if you
Yeah.
loved the cartoon and you watched the movies as a kid, and so if you want flashback, and I thought it was the best thing if anybody has young boys, you want to get them back into Transformers compared to all the cheesy stuff that's come out over the years. You have to do this, and I didn't realize it. They already have the toys out. They actually have rebooted all the Transformers that we used to know as a kid. They're actually on the shelf now because of this show. So you can actually get the characters from when you were a kid for your boys, and they're not like that funky looking Transformers. They're actually the real characters that we grew up with as kids. So it's a nice thing to see them flash back. So,
and I've never seen any commercials or two. I've never even knew that they even did this. But it definitely sounds like there was a lot of backlash, I guess, from fans that were like, "Hey, we don't like the new look of the Transformers. Can we go back to that nostalgic look and like bring that back?" And this, and it sounds like the studios, they listened and they did it. So yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'd be into it. I love the Transformers.
and I think
Growing up.
it was Japanese driven because it's got the anime. You know how anime, like some of the artwork is really well done,
Right.
and it looks like the studios. You can see the highlights. It's all in Japanese. So I think it was originally must have done for a Japanese audience, and so there's no dubbing because they're not real people talking. So you're not like there's no dubbing of voices or anything like that. But I gotta say the animation looks so well done, and it's darker. And so like when we were growing up, they weren't killing each other. Here they're legitimately killing each other, like in the movie. So you're like, oh, I didn't expect this character to die, and but it's so well done. And Megatron is such like they make him so evil in this show. Like you actually, it brings out the real, because Megatron, you think of like growing up as a kid, like you think of He-Man, like right, Skeletor was like this big villain as a kid. Darth Vader was a big dark villain as a kid. We the toys and stuff we used to play with, and like GI Joe, you like thought Cobra Commander, and Megatron was one of the big villains in our childhood, like of all the toys and stuff that we watched. And you never really saw it in the cartoons because they had to be friendly.
Yeah.
Not in the Netflix version. He's dark and like just executes people, and you're like, all right, this is how it should be. This is how
Right.
I wish it was when I was a kid. Like this is great. So, anyways, if you're
I like it.
You want to flash back to the 80s, plenty of carnage of these robots killing each other. But anyways, there's our third man. I thought he was teasing us just in time for the wide receiver portion.
Yeah, I don't know. He must have. He came on and he left, and now he's back.
Well, he was in Middle Earth, and I know there was a tornado warning, so he might have lost his internet.
Let's say.
Because we see his name on the screen, but he's not coming up. So
no.
I'm having a camera issue for some reason. The Zoom is not recognizing that I have a camera on my computer all of a sudden.
Oh, did you have that problem, Big Meat?
Yeah, until I realized I just had to switch the camera thing open. That's probably what he's got.
No, it's a laptop. It's nothing to slide open. It's just the.
Well, I have a laptop too, but I have the little. It's built into the laptop. It's like a little switch that kind of opens and closes it. No.
All right.
Maybe there's a little black tape somebody put over it.
No, I'm looking at the camera.
Just gonna peel the black tape out of it.
The settings on my computer says it's up and running and working. It's just Zoom that's not.
Yeah, it's all right. We don't have to look at your beautiful face, Jarvis. We just need to hear your velvety voice.
Oh,
as long as we can hear you,
it's there.
It is kind of like I don't know what it is. It's sort of kind of creepy because it's just in the background. There's no facial thing. You're just hearing Jarvis like echoing in. It's almost like an R3 presence on the golf course. Bend your knees when you swing.
So it's either that or the tornado like swooped him up and he's like in the sky right now. And he's like, you can't see me because my camera's not working.
Hiding in the basement. He's hiding in the basement with the family. All right, Jarvis, perfect time, buddy. We're just about to switch over to the top 12 wide receivers in fantasy. But you know what? I just wanted to touch on this. I'm a little... Just quick fantasy news. Two things from the Patriots, just because obviously we're New England people and we care about the Patriots. What is going on with the Stephen Gilmore thing? am I missing something? What is going on with
Did you he had
Yeah,
to laugh.
oh my God.
It's Stefan Gilmore.
That's
His
it.
name's Stefan.
Whatever. Stephen Gilmore.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. Hey, so
I
this is the
knew
reason.
you were gonna start giggling, Jarvis. I
Yeah.
knew
Oh
as soon
my
as you said
God. The reason stereotypes exist is for that very reason. Oh my God.
Hey, until he plays, he's Steven.
that.
Okay?
Yeah.
He's Stephen Gilmore, okay?
Yeah, not to be confused with Stephen Diggs.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Jarvis.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to pause for a minute.
God, I can't see his chubby face. I lose my mind right now.
He is probably he muted himself. He just can't.
Oh, I
Probably
needed that.
looks like a giant tomato right now.
Oh,
You can't see
yeah,
him.
I
So.
can guarantee it. All things you are visualizing
All
are
right,
true.
all right. All right.
No, I'm gonna mute myself.
We're gonna lose him.
Oh God, you.
Oh my God! Somebody send this in for a Marconi. This is incredible.
All right, let's focus
All
on
right.
Steven. Let's
Yeah,
focus
Stephen
on Steven.
Gilmore is.
Yeah.
I heard he was benched by Chip Kelly. Is he still the coach of the Patriots?
All right, listen there, Roper. That's a Roper
Oh.
joke. Now you're stealing a Roper joke. All right, it's bad enough. Okay. See, I told you, Big Meat. He's got the taint of Roper on him. He's using Roper jokes on our podcast.
Oh, that's
Saying-
true. You called it. You did call it. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So wait,
Maybe it is Roper, and
Yeah.
that's why I couldn't see his face.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's true.
he's sitting here with me giggling.
yeah. So no, but all seriousness, what is going on with Stephon Gilmore? Like, I don't understand. Like,
All right. Well, what are you? So what's happening is
why
he's
haven't they even
not.
signed him? Like, what's the deal?
So that's the problem. That's what we don't know, and I'm assuming there's a couple of things that you can speculate on, then there's a couple of things that you can just kind of assume. The speculation, right? I heard originally he wanted Darius Slay money, which is something like 15 million a year or upwards of 20. He wants somewhere between 15 and 20. I think the original holdup that I heard is that he wants 2 to 3 years and the Patriots are only willing to offer him 1. I think that was the initial contract. So he's holding out because he said, why am I going to get hurt during preseason and lose my money if I'm only going to play for $7 million this year because they gave him half of it last year. So he wants a deal that's 2 to 3 years. The Patriots have said, we'll give you 1. Now, I don't think they have. I heard Jeff Howe was saying they did a Brady deal on August 3rd and they did a Gronk deal on August like 28th or something. So those are the 2 lines of really previous similarities. So the beginning or the end of the month. So that really doesn't tell us much other than sometime this month the deal should get done if he's expected to play. He has to play this year he has to play at least 7 games to get or 10 games to get have it added on his vested years of service. So he will play. I think they were holding him out, hoping to trade him. So they weren't going to sign him because they wanted to trade him. I still think they don't want to sign him in the event that something shakes out of San Francisco and they need his salary cap money or to make him available in a trade if Jimmy Garoppolo somehow comes available, especially with Cam Newton pulling this COVID nonsense. So that's one of the super speculative issues is trade him, but not only trade him, don't sign him because you don't want to have it muck up the salary cap implications while you're trading him. You want to just be able to make it a cleaner transition. I honestly think Bill's pissed off because he wants Stephon Gilmore to toe the line, and Gilmore knows that he can't go in week 4 and play the Buccaneers without him. They'll get shredded.
Yeah, but Steven is still on the pup, so I don't get that.
No, he's not. He's fine. He's got to be on the pup. That's a move. That's a move to stop the press from asking questions.
I know, but isn't there a time window where he has to come off or he'll be locked on the pup for a few weeks? I thought there was a whole rule that if someone's on the pup, doesn't he have to be on the final roster?
Not during the preseason.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When does he have to come off the pup officially?
I think it's
right before the season starts. I think
the Tuesday, Tuesday before the season starts.
So it's the Tuesday before. Okay,
yeah,
I think
sure.
Yeah, and
it's
once he's on
Thursday, but I think because the season starts Thursday, I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
okay.
to your point, Azar, isn't that like if he's still on the pup when the season starts, is he stuck on the pup until what is it, week 4 or week 6.
That's what I was wondering. I thought wasn't there a
Yeah.
rule that if you're on the pup when the season starts,
When
you
the
have
season
to-
starts. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's got to come up soon. I didn't know when the final cuts for the roster, because I thought they have to submit the final 53-man, or did they up it again? With COVID, I forget. Is the roster expanded this year still? Like last year was expanded because of COVID?
I don't think so.
No, it's
Because
53.
now everybody has to be vaccinated.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just such a weird situation because Belichick is saying he's day to day, and it's like,
okay. So you can't read into Belichick is trying to make this go away while dealing with it, and he doesn't want to answer questions for it. What's happening is Stephon Gilmore wants to be paid $15 million plus this year because that's what his contract was for. They gave him $8 million of it last year as like an early Christmas bonus. He's saying, I'm not playing for this discounted money. You're going to give me the extra $8 million that I'm supposed to make this year. And that obviously makes Bill upset because, again, Bill hates it when people demand money. Look at what happened with Malcolm Butler.
No, I know that. I get all the stories.
So that's
but
the crux of it.
If is he practicing? Is he getting reps in?
No.
Okay, so how are you going to trade a guy that like he's not even working out?
He's working out. He sits on he's on the sideline. He's on the exercise bikes. He's running. He does agility stuff. He does stuff off to the side. He doesn't engage in the plays.
Yeah, but no one's getting looks at him then. Like if you're,
you need to look at him as long as he's healthy. It's about.
I think it's Stephon
health.
Gilmore. It's Gilmore. I think people know what he's about. He was defensive player of the year just 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
I think they know what they're getting with him. I think if a team out there, if the Patriots wanted to dangle him out there for a trade, there's going to be teams calling for sure. It's a matter of what you could get in return, and then you play that game. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if Gilmore just showed up, right, and he was just like, all right, you know what, enough of this, I'll just play whatever. I think Belichick will welcome him back. He's going to play. But these things tend to linger, and you just never know.
And watch him get injured after the first week. He's going to be due for an injury. That's the only thing
But he's never been like, I don't know. He comes off as a kind of a quiet guy. He's not like a typical defensive back who like Jalen Ramsey. He's got a big mouth. Like he doesn't do a lot of talking.
That's true.
So this comes as a bit of a surprise, but at the end of the day, the guy wants to get paid, and so it's like he's got to do what he's got to do to get that big contract.
No, it's fine. It's just interesting because we're getting down to the wire here, and it's like, all right, can we just wrap up the Stephon Gilmore thing? I keep wanting to call him Steven now. He's locked in my head as Steven Gilmore. I hate Stephon. But anyways, it's a slip of the tongue, Jarvis. Relax, God. You got to stick up. You got Roper attitude here. Jeez.
I don't. You just do it.
It's funny. It's like
I'm not mad you did
thing.
it. I didn't yell at you. I laughed. Uncontrollably and had to mute myself. You're the one getting angry.
You got judgy tone. I can't see your face. I only know is you got judgy tone.
judgy tone. Azar, call him a combative ass again.
Yeah,
good God, look at this. I should put up with this abuse. You're the one that called him Steven and then got mad at us for laughing at you.
No, not mad at laughing. It's slip of the tongue.
Host of the podcast here.
All right,
we're laughing. We're laughing with you.
Yeah,
not laughing at you.
You know what? When I do stuff like that, you could always picture R3's face when he hears that. It's just gonna fluster him. All right, one last thing. You touched on it. Cam Newton has to be the biggest idiot in the world. He's fighting for his job, and he's violating COVID rules. Like, I mean, what's the matter with this guy? Like, he just wants everybody
after having a really good preseason game too.
Yeah, he's just asking for us to hate him more. I just don't understand. Like,
careful, he's going to tweet that he deserves more loyalty.
Just this guy. I just don't get what is up with his mentality. Like, I just don't think he's got the mindset. Like, he's mentally there for the Patriots. I think his mind is all over the place. Like, it's just a shame. Like, I just don't know why we haven't moved on to Mac Jones and just said, look, this was a nice, fun ride. You looked good, Cam, but it's like there's no more upside to you. We've seen what he's doing, and it's not like you're expecting. Like, when he gets on the field on week 1, do you expect Cam Newton to play even better than what he's doing in preseason, or this is kind of this is what Cam Newton can do? Like, I don't see much more upside.
I look at Cam Newton and I say, all right, even if he's going to have a couple of good games here and there overall, I don't expect him to have the MVP type year he had 6 years ago. And I think Mac Jones looks like he's ready, right? I mean, I know he's a rookie. I know it's still too early and everything, but I don't see having those two in there being like, oh, Cam Newton's going to be so much better than Mac Jones or vice versa. But so what's the kind of the tiebreaker? And the tiebreaker for me is Mac Jones is the future. If you're gonna throw him, get him the reps, get him the experience, and maybe he'll have some, growing pains throughout this year, but at least you're prepping him for the future. You know what I mean? And he doesn't seem like a guy that's gonna get rattled. You're gonna throw him out there, he's gonna buckle under the pressure. He seems like he can handle it. So let the Mac Jones era begin.
And the one thing that's in the Patriots' favor, and I heard this, I forget what sports thing I was listening to, but they said the Patriots had the potential to have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's not like you're putting Mac Jones in a situation where he's going to run for his life. If he's got a good offensive line, you got stud running backs that could potentially take a lot of pressure off of him. You got great outlet valves, and if the tight ends can be both healthy, let's just hope for the best. I think Mac Jones, if he's on par with, like to your point, exactly, if he's on par with Cam Newton, well, why don't you just give Mac Jones the development opportunity? Why keep Cam Newton in there? I just don't see what the upside is for the Patriots what you're getting, and that's just a frustrating thing. And I know we could bitch about Cam for hours. I just don't get what the upside is. What is Belichick's fascination with this guy is? And you hear other people being interviewed, it doesn't seem like everybody's got the vote of confidence for for Cam Newton. So I'm just confused what Belichick's hard on is for Cam. There's something fishy about it. It's just mind blowing. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. I do think he likes his leadership, his attitude.
Yeah,
I
but
think
this
he likes
COVID thing,
like all
this
that.
COVID thing can't be good for Belichick.
No.
He must be pissed. You
No.
can't use him. You can't touch him until Thursday. Like he's gonna lose a week of practice.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, just kind of like what you're hearing in the news and stuff. It sounds like he's kind of leaning more now towards Mac Jones starting the season, but
what if Cam's COVID violation was just so that Mac Jones could have a full week with the number ones, go into this game like it's a full dress rehearsal to see how he handles it, and afford Bill the opportunity to be able to not have to answer questions to the press about is Mac the starter, is Cam the starter, because this removes Cam from the equation.
Yeah, but it makes Cam look like an idiot.
So?
Yeah, but do you think Cam went along with this and said, "Okay, make me look like an idiot, like I can't follow rules and protocol"?
No, maybe he was set up for it a little inadvertently, but on purpose.
I think ideally,
that's quite a maniacal Bill Belichick.
I think Belichick ideally wants to have both those guys as the two quarterbacks on the roster. And if one gets hurt or something, one doesn't play well, he goes to the other one. It's going to end up being like a Brady versus Bledsoe kind of year. That's how I'm looking at it. Unless Cam makes such a big stink about being the backup, where he's just going to be like, no, I'm not being no backup. I ain't no decoy. He's going to, if he makes a big stink about it where they have to release him or trade him or whatever, that could cause some issues. But if he's the good team in and he's like, sure, let the kid go out there. If he falters, I'm here and I'm ready to go. That would be the ideal situation.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We got a couple more weeks. We'll find out. It's getting close. Very exciting. And speaking of close, our fantasy draft is coming up to Saturday. So we got to get the intel or fake intel out to the people before our draft. So let's get our top 12 wide receivers out there. And I got Randall Cobb as number 1. I think that's a safe bet. Everybody
Excellent.
Are we good? All right, guys.
That's my pick.
Let's do the top 12. Big Meat, are you muting or?
No, my daughter decided to interrupt me again. Again, Azar. Again,
you need your own studio. Jeez.
Nobody can appreciate our podcast. Not even in my own family.
Yeah.
As my daughter's giving me dirty looks. So what we do? We're going to the top 12 wide receivers.
Yeah,
and you want me to start off with my first?
Well, I started off with Randall Cobb as my number 1. So.
not Steven Diggs. Not
Steven Diggs.
Until Gilmore signs, he's going to be Stephen Gilmore in my eyes. I'm sorry.
Stephen Gilmore. Oh man. Oh,
Anyways. All right, Big Me, why do you kick us off? Why do you say who's? I mean, I think number one's obvious, but why don't you give us your?
Oh, I don't think it's obvious because
Uh-oh.
I know who Jarvis's number one is, and I think I know who your number one is, but it's not my number one.
All
My
right.
number one is Tyreek Hill,
That's because you got a hard on for Tyreek Hill. Everybody knows that. Like
and
that.
I have an autographed jersey of Tyreek Hill.
you're welcome.
No. I think obviously, right. We're talking about Hill versus Adams, right? I don't think. I think Adams, what's going on with Green Bay and Rodgers, I think there's just something going on there. I just don't feel comfortable. And I also think Hill, even though Adams had, a couple more fantasy points than Hill did last year, I think he missed also a couple of games. So he was much more productive last year. But I think over the last 3 years, I feel like Hill has been very consistent in that role. And I don't have the numbers in front of me for what Adams did 2 years ago. I don't think he had a very great year 2 years ago. I think he was good 3 years ago. So I like the consistency. I like the great offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. I know there's a lot of mouths to feed there, but I think Hill is consistent. He's great. He's young. Adams, he was with Rodgers, who does he even play this year? Who knows? So I'm going with the more safer pick there and go with Tyreek Hill.
All right. So that is completely like bucking every like fantasy depth chart or ranking report or whatever you want to say. Like that's
how I roll.
Adams is clearly the number one, and I understand your variables, but I don't think any of these guys are going in the top of the draft. They're going in late in the draft, most likely, right in the first round. I just, to me, it just feels what Adams can do in the problem with Kansas City is there's just so many mouths to feed, and you have the threat of Kelsey. You have all these like other weapons. It just feels like you need Tyreek Hill to get a lot of looks. Where I think Adams is the offense for the Green Bay Packers, the passing offense, and I just think you're going to be frustrated unless Tyreek Hill is streaking down the sidelines and get one of those like long passes. You're going to be frustrated if it's like 20 yards to go. They're not looking at Tyreek Hill all the times. They're looking at.
Sure, they do. No, they still would look like they're.
Azar, I don't know if you checked your text, but I sent you my list of top 12 about half hour ago, or maybe a little longer than that.
Yep.
First name on the list?
Adams.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you had Adams.
You had Adams.
What, you changing your mind? Did I change your mind, Jarvis?
No, I sat down as we were talking. I would show you, but my camera doesn't work. No, I have Hill.
Well, we'll switcheroo.
We put Adams there, but yeah, no, I have Hill. I have Hill before John started talking.
Well, not. Well, folks, and you by the way, we have the text, and we'll send you the screenshot on Twitter.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it now. You're right. Yeah, no, I meant to put Hill.
If he feels like he's going because he decides usually to decides with me. Picks with me, Azar, and not you. Just don't be jealous.
No, I think that Hill's gonna. I think I saw firsthand last year. Hill, I was like, you know what? I was kind of whatever on him, and I always liked Adams' potential. But man, what I saw him do last year, it wasn't a game that guy wasn't affecting the score sheet.
He was unbelievable. And
for the record, I had Diggs on this. So I was watching both of them last year. Diggs was. Everything you said about Hill, Azar, where like he needs volume and inside the 20 he disappears. That is Stephon Diggs. He needs volume, and inside the 20 he disappears. He can catch a long streak down the field and get a touchdown, but he doesn't get anything inside the 20. Last year, Hill was red zone targets, deep targets. Kelsey. It didn't matter if Kelsey had a good game or not. Hill had an impact, and I've never seen anything like it from a wide receiver. Hill gets my vote for number one.
No, he's a great receiver. I don't knock him as a number two. I just think there's so many mouths to feed.
Yeah, it just didn't matter. Kelsey never once affected him in a game.
And by the way, Azar, you said I'm bucking that trend. So CBS Fantasy Sports Line, there are 3 experts. 2 of them have Tyreek Hill first, and then Adams second. 2 out of the 3.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I guess you're right. I disagree.
That's okay. Whether you go Hill or Adams, you really can't go wrong there.
All right, so we won't debate. I mean, again, we're just like nitpicking at this point because they're both really good. So is Adams number 2?
Yeah.
No. Yes,
No.
it is. Yes.
Okay. So obviously, I would say Tyreek Hill is my number 2. I mean, he's a close. They would go back to back in the draft. Like if you took Adams, I think Hill will go right behind him. They're definitely the first 2 to go off the board. And is it consensus? Now this is where I'm looking at it. Is Stephon Diggs number 3 receiver off the board, or is it Calvin Ridley, or is it DeAndre Hopkins? Who is it going to be, boys?
Jarvis, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah.
Well, so if I were drafting, I would have a little bit different approach than the experts. But when it comes to who's the right pick here, it's Diggs. Diggs is the right pick at number 3.
Are you not worried about any regression from Josh Allen?
Yeah, I'm worried about it all. That's why I pass on him. And if I were picking, he wouldn't be who I picked, but he's the right pick at 3. He's the 3rd best wide receiver off the board based on projections, stats, system, but he's not who I would pick if I had to take a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Over.
Okay. Big Meat, what's your point of view on that?
So I would say across the board, you see Diggs as the 3rd receiver, but I don't have him as the 3rd receiver because I do think there is going to be a little bit. He is going to remember how many touchdowns did he score last year, Jarvis? You had him. Eight, but like 3 of them in one game towards the very end of the season, right? It wasn't. I mean, he only had like 5 or something going into like week 16.
Yeah, all of his points were off volume and yardage. So he would put up like 120 yards receiving, 130 yards receiving, because he would just get peppered with targets. He'd get 14 catches a game. I mean, it was unbelievable the volume he got.
Yeah, so Diggs has been a good receiver now for several years. Not a great receiver. Like last year, he was a great receiver. Before that, he was just good, right? So I'd rather see somebody there at the number 3 overall spot for wide receivers, someone who's a little bit more consistent. And I'm going to go with Hopkins. I like DeAndre Hopkins because he is consistent. He had his first year with Kyler Murray throwing him the ball, and so. I think on another year there, I think just that chemistry is just going to develop even more. I like what they've done there, like around that offense. Hopkins is still kind of the main guy there. I think Kyler Murray is only going to get better. I like Hopkins. He's more of a safer pick, more of a safer.
Are you saying that because
pick.
How often he's targeted? Because he is one of the, based on last year, he was the 2nd highest targeted receiver, right behind Diggs, 160, which is.
But he was also getting looks in the end zone. I mean, that guy got targeted as much in the end zone, in the red zone, in the end zone.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't. I mean, 6 touchdowns. He didn't. It wasn't like he was.
Yeah, Kyler Murray ran a lot too. He had a rushing. Yeah, I mean that's going to affect his work. But I mean, he does get a lot of looks. Look at Michael Thomas 2 years ago, broke the record for most receptions. He was drafted in our league in the middle of the first round, and that was coming off of a year where he only scored like 8 or 9 touchdowns the year before that. So, if you get the volume, if you get the production, touchdowns are great, obviously, but if you could get everything else into that mix, and it's a safe, the ceiling is low there, then
the floor
that's
is
where
low.
I go.
The ceiling
the
is high.
floor is low. Sorry. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mr. Gilmore.
I would actually. I have to. So who you're saying, Big Meat, for you?
He said Hopkins. That whole diatribe was about Hopkins.
Yes. I was just talking.
Has anybody listened?
Just talking about Hopkins.
No.
5 minutes.
So I just wanted to make sure I got it written down. I'm writing them down. So you got
mine.
Diggs,
Hill, Adams, Hopkins.
I said Diggs because that's the consensus there. Number 3, you're gonna get the volume and everything. It's funny, I didn't finish my sentence, but I was actually going to say I think Hopkins is the 3rd best receiver, but I can't put that on record because I don't want to just keep cherry picking Big Meat's takes.
I was gonna say,
that's why I had you go first, Jarvis. That's why I didn't want to.
Yeah, please make the takes because you sound like just a Jarvis parrot on Big Meat's shoulder right now. Big Meat says something, then you're like, I want to just change what I want to say.
No, I wish I could show you my camera. I had it all written down.
All right, you sound like Tony Maserati now instead of Felger. Come on, stick to the plan here. Stick to your plan. All right, I'm going to challenge it because I agree with you. What you guys are saying about Diggs, Hopkins. I'm just a little nervous about the touchdown totals. I'm surprised you guys didn't lean more towards Calvin Ridley now that he is like the number one receiver in Atlanta. He
Is
the
he your guy? Ridley's your guy for 3?
For 3, I think he's probably a safer pick because Matt Ryan throws the ball. He's just consistent with that. Throws a lot of yards. I'm looking at Calvin Ridley's number. I mean, he did have 143 targets. Again, his conversion was he only had 90 receptions, but he did get a high amount of targets, almost 1,400 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. And that's what's Julio Jones still on the team. So I think, to me, they just picked up a great tight end. Their defense still sucks. Matt Ryan's still going to have to throw the ball to make anything happen. I feel like Calvin Ridley is probably like a good volume receiver at that point. Compared to, and you don't have to worry about, is there going to be any regression with Kyler Murray? You don't have to worry about any regression with Josh Allen. You don't have to worry about them running in the ball because Josh Allen and Murray can run the ball in themselves. I think Calvin Ridley might be a safer pick there. That's just my gut. Saying it.
Yeah, Ridley's a good spot there. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't.
I have Ridley at 4, so it's the same thing. I have Ridley at 4.
Okay, so there's this.
All right. Well,
that spoiler. All right. So who do you got, Big Meat, for 4?
Wait a minute. So you said so Jarvis. You still are you sticking with Diggs at 3?
Yeah.
Okay, but and you really liked Hopkins, but you don't even.
I
put
personally
Hopkins at
like
4?
Hopkins, but if I'm giving advice out on the podcast, you should go with Diggs. It'll be it's a less, I don't say less risky pick, but I think it's less of a reach there, depending on where you're drafting. Like, I think if you're drafting that high in the second round, which is where I think he's going to go, so like you have picks like 8, 9, or 10. I don't think you should reach for Hopkins there. I think Diggs is the more appropriate pick.
Yeah. Okay, so Diggs is 4 for me. So he's right there. He's right there. Right
Diggs
after Hopkins for me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'm the only one that's so Ridley. So I have a thing for DK Metcalf. I'm sorry. I got a thing for DK Metcalf right there. I gotta take
At 5?
At 4.
Oh, you're still at 4.
I'm still at 4.
I thought you said Ridley was
Adam
4.
Hills Ridley.
Oh, okay. So you're skipping Diggs completely there. Okay.
I'm letting Diggs slide.
All right.
Diggs makes me nervous. I don't know why. Like, this is his first year, but I go back and forth between Diggs, but I'm gonna kind of be untraditional. Like, you guys are traditional, but I'll make the case for DK Metcalf. Absolute beast on the field. He's like a physical specimen out there. 129 targets, 83 receptions, 1,300 yards receiving. He's an end zone target, 10 touchdowns. 10 receiving touchdowns. I mean, he is a monster.
I'm going to send you guys this just because I can't show you. That way you don't accuse me of cheating and changing takes or anything.
Okay. But I think DK Metcalf is a safe receiver. Like, I just think that there's still more opportunity for his development. Russell Wilson throws the ball. He's still a good QB. I mean, he does have his second half of the year meltdowns for some weird reason. Like, he gets you all excited, like he's gonna like an MVP. Then he falls.
Let Russ cook. He only goes food shopping for half the meal and runs out of ingredients halfway through the season. But he hasn't yet to cook a full meal.
Yeah, I know. And one of these years, he's gonna have to get it all together. But he's got a good opposite receiver. There's with Tyler Lockett across from him, and then they have the new tight end from the Rams that is now on their offense.
Gerald Everett.
So they have a good tight end. I think they're gonna have a good offense, and I think it's just more opportunity. Carson's coming back. It's gonna be their number. I think they haven't announced it officially, but I think he's gonna be the number 1 running back for the offense. I think they're a good offense, and their defense is okay. So I think he's gonna still have opportunity. So
on the heels of that, I still think Metcalf has not hit his ceiling yet. I think he could still be even better. So I officially have Metcalf because of that as the higher ceiling. He's my number 5th overall receiver. So I still haven't officially given Hopkins out as my pick, but I think Metcalf is the fifth best on the board.
Okay. Big me.
Okay. Number 5 for me is Ridley for everything that you guys said earlier. I mean, I think Ridley is without Julio Jones there now, and Ridley has steadily gotten better and better and better. And now he's going to be the guy there in Atlanta. They throw the ball a lot still. So I like Ridley there at number 5. That seems like it makes sense for him to kind of break out and truly be like one of the true elite receivers. He was one of the elite receivers last year, but he was kind of always under the radar because he was always like Julio Jones was there and whatever. And I've got all these other great receivers in the league. I think this is the year where Ridley really kind of breaks out. So I have to put him in there as my top 5
Okay.
to round out my top 5.
So, are they still? Is Adams and Hill your tier 1, and then are these guys tier 2, or do you look at these guys and say, nope, these are all tier 1 receivers? In my book,
I think Hill and Adams are on another level. I think because they give you yards and touchdowns. I think they're just
they're the only two. When you say tier 1, they're the only two I would justify seeing go in round 1.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I agree.
It's a good way to look at it.
I feel like after you get past Hill or Adams, I think these other guys are great number 1s for your team. But having Hills and Adams on your team is like, no, you got it. I would say, you got an elite receiver on your roster. Like that is like, you can't do better than that for your receiver, right? It's like someone getting Kelsey. It's like, no, you got the best tight end in the game. So I think between Adams and Hill, you can go interchangeably there. I agree. So going to the 6th round.
No, who's your number 5, Azar?
I'm sorry. That's where I'd have Diggs. Diggs would be my number 5.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. So I have Hopkins as my 6th receiver on the list. And
I do too. That's my guy.
Oh, so look at you. I knew you guys would be on the same page at some point here.
So you run out of players after a while.
Yeah. My 6th guy is, and I feel the same way about this guy as you do, Azar, Metcalf. I watching him play last year and just everything about him. I love him, and I think he's gonna get better and better and better. He's a freak out there. So I got to put him right there. I mean, I can't keep letting him slide down here. I got him 6th here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was, 2nd or 3rd or even 1st best receiver in the league. I wouldn't be surprised. So he's definitely my guy there at 6.
He's like a highlight reel. If you watch his games, he's like a highlight reel. Yeah, he's a freak. All right, so I think if anybody said these 6 guys, they're not a shocker who you guys picked. This is the next 6, I think, is where
that's the end of the 2nd round right there. Any of those guys can go in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
So I think the next tier is going to be like 3rd, 4th round receivers.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll call these guys our tier 3, 6 to 12, right?
Who was your okay, so he was my 6th. Who was your 6th, Azar?
Hopkins. We both had Hopkins.
Yeah,
that's
you're
right.
not listening to me either. You just said you guys are in line with each other finally, and then you forgot that you said that.
Man. But you got one guy that you're missing somebody, aren't you?
No,
Adams,
just a different order.
Yeah, I'm just.
He has Ridley, Metcalf, Diggs, Hopkins. You have Hopkins,
okay.
Diggs.
All right.
Actually, you guys go 3 through 6. You each switch. Like Azar has Ridley, Metcalf, Diggs, Hopkins. You go Hopkins, Diggs, Ridley, Metcalf.
Right. I see another. So I got the Yahoo rankings in front of me here, and I'm just I kind of copied and pasted it onto a Word doc here. So I'm looking at their like top 6, and they have another guy. They have a different top 6 than our top 6. Like we all agree with our top 6, but they have one guy in their top 6 that's different than what we said.
Jefferson.
Yeah, Jefferson. So they got him as 6. So I'm looking at that thinking like, oh, Azar's missing somebody. It's like, no, he just that Yahoo has Metcalf down at number 8. Yeah, and we have him much higher.
Well, that's perfect. So we're going into the 6th pick.
7th pick.
Oh, so I'm sorry, 7th. I apologize, 7th. So
I don't actually. I think I have AJ Brown.
Really?
I do too.
Okay.
There we go. See, I like it. Now we're on the same team, Jarvis. Right. Now what do you got, Azar? What do you got at 7?
You gotta suck it. I'm on the same team, AJ Brown. I like.
We all have to agree. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous because there's a little injury thing right now with him, but
he said he's supposed to play. He's on track to play week 1, and I just think the addition of Julio Jones in name alone is going to free him up.
Exactly. I think with that offense, I think he's a freak to watch. He's a big physical guy. And with Julio, I think you just can't double team AJ Brown. You're gonna have to worry about Julio. As long as Julio's healthy and can take some of those pull those defensemen away from him, I think AJ Brown's gonna be a beast this year.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's like Metcalf, where you see him. He's just a physical freak out there, and so
he's another highlight reel. Like when he makes some big plays, you're like, holy crap, this guy's a monster.
And last year, right, he was in the preseason. He had a little bit of an injury, and it was kind of like undisclosed. So people let him slide. I think he went down into the fourth
Like
or
the
fifth round.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was late.
and if there was no injury scare last year, like he would have been like a second round receiver, or maybe even at worst a third. So
Third, yeah.
so when I don't remember if he missed the first game this past year and then he came on to the second game or whatever. But whenever he came on,
I think he missed 2 or 3 games.
he missed that many games. So okay,
I think.
But when he came back, he tore
he
it
was
up. Like he was
unbelievable.
always like targeted. It seemed like he was scoring a touchdown every single game. I had Derrick Henry, so I know. So I'm watching the games like, all right, stop throwing the ball to AJ Brown and give it to Derrick Henry. So I just saw him last year, and I was convinced this guy's legit. He's another guy who I wouldn't be surprised if he was top 3 wide receiver this year, and I have him all the way down at 7th.
Wow. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, he played 14 games last year, so he came back week 3.
Okay.
11 touchdowns, 1,000 yards in 14 games.
Yeah, touchdown machine.
Yeah, he's a beast. All right, so
and that's with Derrick Henry rushing for 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and then now they added Julio, so you have to imagine like the offense is going to be even better. All right, so who's number 8 then? This should be interesting. This could divert a little bit.
I could go first on this one. I might surprise a couple people, and I also want to see if I could sway Jarvis over to my side here. I'm going to say McLaurin, Scary Terry McLaurin. I think this is the year where it's his 3rd year in the league, right? This is kind of the year that receivers kind of break out into their 3rd year. First year, his rookie year, he was good, consistent, didn't have a good quarterback thrown to him. Last year, whether it was Alex Smith or whoever, didn't have a lot of consistency there, but he got even better, very highly targeted. Everybody talks about this guy as being super talented. Now, you have in Washington, who I really like their defense, but I actually like Ryan Fitzpatrick as the guy that's gonna because he throws the ball around, and he's not a great quarterback. He's been playing on every single team now at this point in his career, but he's good enough to throw the ball around. I think McLaurin finally has a decent quarterback that can throw him the ball. Let's see what he does now. I think he's the guy that's gonna take that huge leap into year 3.
That's an interesting pick. I just feel that he only had 4 touchdowns last year.
Yeah. Terrible quarterbacks.
The offense was inept. Yeah. And they picked up who was the other receiver? They got Curtis Samuel, who was just kind of like a good complementary receiver. There was no other receiver than McLaurin. It was just him. Right, so at least now he's got a little bit of help. I think they want to be able to throw the ball to Antonio Gibson as well out of the backfield too. So I think that's just going to open things up a little bit more with McLaurin having a much better quarterback with Fitzpatrick. So if he doubles that, scores 8 touchdowns, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. I think that's reasonable.
Okay. I don't know. I'm looking for more stability. I guess if I'm taking the 8th receiver off the board, but he's not that far off. I don't know. That offense makes me nervous. And even if he has a great year, so if he doubles, he's going to have 8 touchdowns. I mean, right where you drafted him was not a bad receiver for 8 touchdowns. What do you want to go for more? I don't know. Like, to me, like I'm thinking 8th there isn't Allen Robinson, like talent-wise, isn't Allen Robinson a better receiver to go ahead of someone like McLaurin? Wouldn't you? I don't know. I mean,
that's who you want.
I think Jefferson. I would say Jefferson, and the only reason is not that he's more talented than Robinson, is that I like Kirk Cousins with all his flaws as a quarterback. He does put up a lot of yards. Like he still throws the ball a lot, and I think Jefferson was every time I was looking at the box score on these games, like Jefferson was just killing it, and I just feel like he still has Thielen opposite of him. I don't see why he couldn't have another monster year. And with a known quarterback like Kirk Cousins, like I would think he'd be a safer. We always talk about who's the safer pick. I think Jefferson was probably a more safer pick. The only thing with Robinson is I don't get the quarterback situation there. That makes me a little bit nervous with the quarterback situation with the Bears. That's why I would say Jefferson is definitely my 8th pick right there. And I give it the thumbs up because of Kirk Cousins. That's the only reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Jarvis feels on that one.
Yes, you do. I sent it to you in a text message.
Oh, you fuck. Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize you want me to read your thing. I apologize.
He wants you to make the big announcement.
I
Guys.
have Jefferson. The guy put up 1,400 yards as a rookie. Yeah. 1,400 yards as a rookie, and again, 7 touchdowns. So if he even gets any better, I mean, that's Metcalf status. I mean, that could just put up numbers.
Yeah.
McLaurin. We'll get to McLaurin. I have not been able to articulate why, but I have him ranked low, and I have to work on my argument for why. Besides just the fact that he's on the Washington football team, but I'll see if I can come up with something for you, because you make a compelling case. I mean, McLaurin had Dwayne Haskins and Tyler Heineke. The ball
and McLaurin, he played 15 games last year too, by the way, with those numbers. McLaurin, he had 87 catches for 1184 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, but don't you think the running game is going to be more highlighted this year? With now that they have a good salt, like Gibson's going to be their star. It's going to be their
main. He was kind of like
that's a pretty dull star.
He was kind of their main guy last year. I mean, for most of the season,
from out of the chute, he was their main guy from week 1. It was. Okay. I mean, it's the same thing except Fitzpatrick, and I don't know what you're going to get with Fitzpatrick, because when he was in Tampa, it was Fitzmagic for 4 games, and then it was like, oh, that's why he gets cut everywhere.
Well, that's what scares me about McLaurin, is that there's some games that he might not show up, and it's not because of him. It's not lack of talent. It's magic.
Fitzpatrick,
he lost his pixie dust.
Right.
So.
Yeah. But McLaurin, so I'm just reading a stat here real quick, just so I can maybe sway Jarvis a little bit more, because I want him on my side. He handled 25% of the targets last year in Washington. 25, a quarter of the targets went to McLaurin. So they definitely want to target him a lot.
Well, I think that's why they had to sign Samuel, because they realize that the league is going to say, all right, if we double team you, 25% of your plays are eliminated.
Yep. And they got Adam Humphries. Not that Adam Humphries is anything great, but he's not a bad third receiver to have.
Is that where he ended up after turning down $9 million with the Patriots?
Yes. Adam freaking Humphries.
That's what he deserves. That's what he deserves. Turning down.
So number 9, I have Mike Evans. I bring him up the chart a little bit, and I know that he's down on some lists, but I mean, he's never health wise is the only thing. But man, Brady can throw a deep ball pretty good now. I mean, that knock on him from a decade ago is long gone. I think that he does. I felt watching the Bucks games last year, he still like took his deep shots to Evans. Like, I think he understands that Evans' money is in those deep shots, and those the post, the 20-yard deep crossing routes, and I mean, I could tell that Godwin really suffered from having Brady at quarterback, because they just were not in rhythm. You see, there were a lot of drops with Godwin, but I think Evans is just. I think he's going to have a better year than he had last year. I think Brady's going to get him the ball. There's so many weapons there. They're getting a lot of hype with you got, the running game, Antonio Brown and I just think it's going to get lost in the shuffle, and Evans is just going to be able to take over some games. I don't think he's in the tier, because I think he loses out on some games, or he will disappear or get injured. He's down in that 9, 10, 11, 12 range for me. He's not up in the 7, 8, but yeah, Mike Evans is underrated in my eyes. I think he's much better than some of the Allen freaking Robinson.
Allen Robinson is talented. I mean, you don't knock him. I mean, you watch him. He's talking about a guy like McLaurin who's doing it with shit.
Robinson he's moody.
But he's doing it with shit, and he's on a bad team.
Yeah.
But I think this team, is it Andy Dalton is officially the starter for the Bears right now? For now.
Yeah, well, yeah. Either him or when Justin Fields takes over. But
but that's what I mean.
Probably going to be Dalton.
Dalton thinks he's starting the season. I mean, I think Dalton's more functional than Trubisky. I think.
Trubisky looked good the other night. Did you see him in that Bills game? He looked like guy could play.
Trubisky.
Patriots should have signed him. All right.
Here's my concern though: is Dalton, whatever the system is there. If Matt Nagy is such a quarterback devil, quarterback destroyer, what are these guys? What's Andy Dalton going to be like? If Trubisky's talented enough to be decent, like he was in the preseason game the other day, how bad is of a system is, and what's that going to do for Andy Dalton? And then what's it going to do for Robinson, who doesn't want to be there, who's demanding a trade?
Yeah, but now with Fields, maybe the attitude would change. Now they got a real quarterback.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't trust scrambling rookie quarterback. So,
well, again,
ironically, I will say that I do have Allen Robinson at number 10. By the way.
Okay, that's where I have him. So I'm in line with you because I have Evans right where you're saying. I think Evans is. I mean, again, it goes back to my whole Kirk Cousins thing. You got to pick the guy with the good quarterback. Tom Brady is still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I would rather take my luck and chances with Brady throwing the ball to Evans than rolling the dice with Andy Dalton throwing to Robinson. Even though maybe Evans is has more injury risk than Robinson, but I think Evans has more upside. There's a lot of talent on that team. They got a good offensive line. I think if Brady stays healthy, can still work his magic that he does, I think Evans is going to get a lot of looks and a lot of opportunity. So I can't disagree with you there. So I have him at 9 and I have Robinson at 10 because, again, the knock on Robinson is I just don't know the quarterback situation, even though he's a talented receiver. If he got traded, I would move. If he was traded to a good team, I would move Robinson up in the rankings. I just think that he's
So, John, you have to do 9 and 10.
So my 9 is Jefferson. I mean, he's, like you said earlier, 1,400 yards as a receiver for a guy coming into his second year. He's the guy now to throw to in Minnesota for a while. You had the Thielen and Diggs show, but now Diggs is gone there. Thielen was great for a couple of years though. Jefferson kind of leapfrogged him, so definitely Jefferson's got to be there at number 9. I do like him, and I do like the fact that they throw the ball a lot as well. Plus, you got Dalvin Cook. They have a strong offense. Jefferson has got to be number 9 there. Number 10 is I agree with you, Jarvis. Mike Evans. He's not even in the top 12 on Yahoo rankings for wide receivers. It's kind of shocking. Like, I remember watching a lot of because I had Brady last year. I remember watching, and he threw the ball a lot to Evans, and it seemed like he was always scoring touchdowns. He was heavily targeted. He was always involved in the game plan. Evans has been doing it for a number of years before. He was the number 1 receiver a few years back, I remember, was it Winston throwing him the ball? I mean, so he's been doing it for a while. He's got Brady throwing to him. I know there's a lot of mouths to feed there, but it's Mike Evans. Like, he's gonna put up his numbers. I'm kind of surprised that he's not higher on that list. So he's my 10th ranked wide receiver.
So the problem with Evans, and I think why he doesn't get as much love, is I think people are worried about the Godwin factor and the Antonio Brown factor, because Brady is known to spread the wealth, right? He's not someone that will just focus on one receiver.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Watch him last year. I mean, that was the case in New England. You know what I mean? I think our listeners would be naive to just not buck that trend and follow the fool's gold of the Belichick offense, Brady, dunk and dunk, death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, that was Brady up here.
Yep.
But like, not in 2007 when he had massive weapons, and not last year when he had weapons all over the field. He slings the ball around and deep. He took a lot. I mean, there were so many. Every game I watched, he was just airmailing these 60-yard, 70-yard bombs, just stuff that you didn't see in New England. So anybody that says
that's the Bruce Arians effect. That is the Bruce Arians effect.
Anybody,
I agree with you.
So that's not being given enough credit to Mike Evans on any list that doesn't have him higher than it should.
I completely agree.
And I don't give Godwin the same, because Godwin didn't get any of those looks last year. And the ones Godwin did get, he dropped, which is the Brady effect. Screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me.
Yeah. Once you get on that dog list, man,
that is a real Brady thing. But I don't think the offensive system of spread it out and feed the mouths, I don't think that's the same case anymore with Brady.
All right, Jarvis and Big Meat, 11 and 12. This could go a million directions, but for the sake of time,
11 and 12.
11 and 12. Well, give us 11. I mean, we don't have to go. But once you get past the top 10, these receivers, now you're like, all right. Like,
I don't know. I think we're going to be consistent, because the one I'm missing is McLaurin, and he's 11 for me. So I have Scary Terry there at 11, and then I'd be shocked if the rest of you guys didn't have CD Lamb.
Shocked?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
He's
That was,
been
for more,
watching-
that was more for dramatic effect of the
No, no,
talk show here.
He's been watching Hard Knocks.
I have CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to take. If Dak Prescott is healthy, that's why he's.
Yeah, well, that's why he's number 12 because
Yeah,
everybody
have
else
him as,
after him really suck.
I have as number 11 because I think if Dak Prescott is healthy, I think CeeDee Lamb is the future there. He's just from last year what he was able to do, and with Andy Dalton throwing the ball, I think with a healthy Dak Prescott, I think CeeDee Lamb can be a monster this year. But it all depends. Like right before, like he's someone I have to watch right before the draft. Like if he's in front of me, I gotta like just make sure is Dak starting? Like there's no setbacks, and weird crap like that. But I have CeeDee Lamb as my 11th pick.
And who's your 12? McLaurin?
No, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, save it last. Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of because I have two different guys here, and I'm leaving Robinson and CeeDee Lamb completely off my list because I think they're good receivers. I had Robinson a few years back, and he had his best years when Blake Bortles was throwing him the ball. So he can have a shitty quarterback throwing him the ball, and he could put up numbers. It's Chicago. That's why I'm just leaving Robinson completely out of it. We don't even know Andy Dalton. I mean, come on. I don't even want to talk about their quarterback situation because that's why I just don't think Robinson belongs in this top 12 list. CeeDee Lamb, he's getting all the buzz. I watch Hard Knocks too. I know he's looking great, and he's so talented and all that stuff. And if Prescott, if he stays healthy, that's still kind of too many mouths to feed there. You still got Flat Tire Cooper there. You still got Michael Gallup, right? You still got Ezekiel Elliott. I just think it's too much to ask for a second-year receiver and all of a sudden to take this huge leap and now considered to be like top 12 wide receiver in the league. To me, too high. It's too high. The guy I have at 11, and it might surprise you guys, is Godwin. I think this is the year where Brady did try to throw him the ball. He just had the dropsies. And I don't think he suffered from the dropsies the year before that or any time in his career.
No, never.
For whatever reason, it was last year. And I think Brady's going to continue trying to feed him the ball. And on a prolific offense, I think Godwin's going to come back. Remember, Godwin 2 years ago, he was the guy there, like more so than Evans. Like just because 1 year he has a little bit of a down year, had some dropsies.
That was the Fitzmagic year.
He had something.
Godwin was the man with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, right. I mean, but he was like the best slot receiver in the league, and it was like it wasn't even a debate. It was like he's the best slot receiver, and everyone loved him. And then he just kind of had a few of the dropsies last year, had an injured thumb or whatever. Yeah. You know, I think he's going to bounce back. I can't imagine he's too talented of a receiver to just disappear in that offense. So he's my 11th guy. And then can I just jump into my 12th? I think I don't know if this is going to surprise you guys. I think Thielen. I think he's a consistent guy. Jefferson's now the guy in Minnesota, but Thielen still scored 11 touchdowns. No, they were more than that. I thought it may have been 14 touchdowns last year, but it was double digit for sure. He didn't get a lot of yards, but I kind of like where he's at there. He doesn't have to be the guy. Jefferson's that guy. They still got Dalvin Cook. He just has to get all those extra yards, those garbage points, those garbage yards, garbage touchdowns. And Thielen always seemed to be the guy in the end zone. It wasn't Jefferson. It always seemed like it was Thielen. So for a 12th guy ranked right there, I'm putting Thielen.
Okay. There's one guy I am surprised you didn't put there, and I know it's because he has this like disappearing act, and realistically I should probably put him as number 12. I think Tyler Lockett, 10 touchdowns. He finished 11th. He finished 11th in scoring in fantasy. So he's right in the same wheelhouse where we're drafted. I'm saying he's 12th.
Wow.
So if he can is Tyler Lockett able to reproduce? Yes, but he's not my guy. He is not the guy I'm picking 12.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with my
switcheroo.
heart. No, I'm going with my heart. Robert Woods.
No, I should have known. I should have known.
Robert Woods is the man because every year you guys shit on him. He just finished outside of the top 12 last year, and that's with that bum
Goff.
I don't even want to listen to the rest of the podcast.
So right now he's got Matt Stafford. He gets a lot of targets. You guys shit on him. He gets a lot of targets.
He deserves it.
No, he does not. You guys don't want to give him because I like him in a drive. 129 targets, 129 targets, 936 yards receiving. Just
936.
God.
yeah, but you look at
Amateur hour.
what are you talking about? What is it? AJ
128
Brown,
targets. Guy couldn't even break 1,000 yards.
AJ Brown had 1075. So come on. And I think Robert Woods did get hurt. So I have to check to see how many games he played. But anyways, the point is that I think you have a real quarterback throwing to him. Robert Woods has
don't
the
even
talent.
give a. Nobody wants to hear your analysis of Robert Woods.
Okay, see, you guys, I'm calling it right now on this fantasy podcast right now.
Yes.
By next year, or by the end of the season, Robert Woods will finish as in the top 12 of receivers. He will finish. He just missed it last year, and I think he was in it the year before. But this year, he will be in the top 12. So I'm telling you, 12th overall receiver. If you draft him, you will get your money's worth. He will finish in the top 12.
Okay. All right. That's he's thinking with his heart there.
It's my
his heart, not his head. He's thinking with his heart.
And if he's there, I'm drafting.
Yeah, John, you and I both know his heart's faulty.
Because you know what? I think you're taking McLaurin at 8. You're willing to take you're going to willing to roll the dice with Fitzmagic. You're willing to roll the ice with Godwin, the drops, when you know Brady is a temperamental bastard. So
no,
Godwin
he has Godwin. I don't have Godwin.
If he drops
I have McLaurin at 11, by the way.
Yeah. No, I know, but what I'm saying is that he has.
I still think Woods is fifth. I don't even want to say 15, 20th at best.
And again, if you guys
he's in the late teens for me.
I would take the flat tire over him.
Where is he in the CBS draft? He is. If you look at
he's 17. He's 17 on my secret list.
He's 16th in Yahoo. He's 16th in Yahoo.
Both
they have Cup ahead of Woods.
No,
I would take Cup. I would take Cup ahead of Woods. I would take Cup ahead of Woods.
I'm saying in our Yahoo,
Woods. I would take
Yahoo
projected
rankings.
I would take Julio Jones ahead of Woods.
You know,
I would take Godwin over Woods. I would take Cooper over Woods. I would even take Brandon Ayuk.
Yuck.
You know what? You guys are just crazy.
How about Kenny Golladay? I would even take Kenny.
It's just Robert Woods is just his man. You know what? I commend you, Azar, for taking Woods in because you have a soft spot for him and you're loyal to him, and I like that. I value that loyalty. So you have him there at 12, then so be it. Go. I get it. I completely get it. I commend you. You're wrong. You're 100% wrong, but I value your loyalty. The beauty is,
we'll know in 4 months because in 4 months we'll look back at the rankings, and when Woods is there, my boy Woods I have a Wood for Woods. So
things are falling off the rails when Azar says he has a great quarterback throwing him the ball now. When was Matthew Stafford a great quarterback?
Robert Woods is
compared to Goff.
Do you know Robert Woods needs to be planted in the rankings right next to Marvin Jones? He is Marvin Jones. That's all he is.
No, he's not. Oh my God.
Anyway, wait. Did we finish our top 12? I did my 12. Did we
wrap
it up?
We did.
Who are your last two, Jarvis? I might have missed.
McLaurin is 11, and I have CD Lamb at 12.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you did get CD Lamb.
And mine's Lamb and Woods. Just look at the names. Yeah. Lamb,
Woods. Yeah. Allen wasn't mentioned. Keenan Allen is 11th on the Yahoo rankings.
Keenan Allen
I have Keenan Allen at 13.
Yeah. Keenan Allen, every year, there's a lot of hype. This is his year. And I don't know what. He just falls off the rails. Like he disappears some games. Gets hurt. Yeah, that's what I mean. I just don't trust him. And I think he's got a much better quarterback. I mean, not much better, but I mean, he's got a good quarterback thrown to him right now. But unfortunately,
I'm surprised because Jarvis loves Herbert too. So I was thinking maybe Allen was going to be in this top 12.
I can't overhype him. Own personal selfishness. So he's only ever played 13 games. He's he's played 15, 14, 8, 1, 16, 16, 16. Okay, so
we're getting Roper stats now. He's just starting to throw stuff out of the binder.
No, I got it right here. He played 14 games last year.
Because Roper's sitting right next to him. That's why he's not sharing.
Right. That's why I get no camera. Do you know last year he tied his career high 8 touchdowns. He's never had more than 8 touchdowns.
Yeah. He
lacerated kidney boy.
Oh my God. He's from a hit, right? You didn't get that from getting hit?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, he's always hurt.
I gotta wrap it up, boys, because we've
right,
gone
gents.
long on this podcast. So I'm gonna wrap it up right there. As always, for those that are listening, this is please spread the word. If you were that the top 12 wide receiver rankings are out there, and there's a sleeper out there that Azar mentioned, Robert Woods. So just tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
But as always, you got to
shit.
listen to us on Apple Podcast,
There goes our
SoundCloud,
credibility.
YouTube, and we have no credibility. There's none. That's gone out the window when you share Roper facts. And other than that, boys, anything else before we say goodnight?
Yeah, I would say this weekend is our big fantasy football draft, and we'll get into it in the future with our favorites. Right, we draft our guys, and
The
we fall in love
Jackass
with them.
pick. The
And
Jackass
we get
pick
the
will be next week.
Jackass picks exactly. That's
Yeah.
going to be coming up as well.
Oh,
And
the
we're
Jackass pick episode.
We have all the rankings that we've done with the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers. We've done all these rankings 1 through 12. We will soon find out after this weekend who was speaking the truth and who was full of shit. We will soon find out.
Yeah.
When Jarvis is drafting fucking Keenan Allen before he drafts guys like Evans and all these, we all know he's going to be full of shit.
Yeah.
When Azar does not take Robert Woods as like he's available, those 11 guys are gone before him, and he's got the 12th pick to go, and he doesn't take Robert Woods. then
No,
we'll all
never.
know.
Never. I got my honor. I live what I say. I will die. I will waste my fantasy season on Woods if I had to. He just won't be my number one. He can't be my number
Azar,
one.
I actually have you. So I did a mock simulation for the first 6 rounds, and Azar, you got Robert Woods. I will tell you that.
See, you know me.
It's locked
You know
in.
me.
You,
All right.
you got him, and Meat actually. Let's see. You got Terry McLaurin.
I love Terry McLaurin.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
do.
You got him in round 3, Meat. By the way, he's there for you in round 3.
I like it. I'd be happy
Azar,
with
you
that.
got Robert Woods in round 5.
Oh, value pick. That's a
Yep.
value pick right there. I'm loving
Count
it.
it.
And,
Count
and
it.
you know what else it's going to be? My Jackass pick, too, if he gets him in round 5.
All right. Well, that's the thing. You got to spread the word for those listening. It is the special Jackass pick episode will be next week. All right, folks. We'll
All
wrap
right,
it up.
boys.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. See ya.
Ciao.